This United States Grand Prix betting picks edition of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers where you can win 100x. That's right. Turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Last-minute tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. And we're giving away $3,000 in our NFL Second Chance Survivor Contest presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. Feel free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. Get ready for speed.
You just wait, sunshine. You just wait.
Get ready for the passion.
To whom it may concern you.
Get ready for the raw emotion.
Sì, ragazzi! Grazie! Dai, forza Ferrari!
Get ready for the F1 Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb. Yes, indeed. We return again, and we return stateside for another exciting F1 race. It is, of course, the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. To the Circuit of Americas we go this weekend in Austin, Texas for the F1 race on a track that, well, Cody and I are quite familiar with from our days in NASCAR, but F1 has gotten themselves familiar with it and has really made this place their home as well. So an exciting race to be had, and thank God Cody F1's back.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy. And we got a nice little stretch here. We've got 1, 2, 3 races in a row before a week off, and then back to the United States for Las Vegas after that. So we're in the home stretch here, right? Only 5 races left, unfortunately, as motorsports season winds down, sadly. But got a nice little stretch. 3 weeks in a row of some F1 racing here, which is nice. Good times, right? I mean, this is what, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, something like that, I think it is. So Eastern time, right in the middle of the day, racing on our own turf here. And they should all be good times for the rest of the season, pretty much, because it's kind of up and down the Americas at this point. So I'm excited for this little stretch run of F1 to end out the season.
What has quickly become my favorite part of the F1 schedule, the latter half, when they stay on this end of the earth, because then we don't have to worry about, I mean, listen, it doesn't really impact me all that much as far as what, because I usually watch it as all of the folks in Discord love, on tape. I do watch the races later on anyways, but it does help to not have to dodge spoilers for the better part of the weekend when I'm trying to catch back up again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's NASCAR that needs to figure it out or if it's F1 that needs to figure it out. But do we need to have the same races at the same time while the NFL's also going on? That is the one part that's kind of I don't love, but it's all right. That's what you got multiple screens for. You can make it work.
I'm telling you, between the phone, the laptop, the tablet, the TV, the computer, there's just 15 million ways to watch anymore. So it's almost as if there's no excuse. Yet there's always an excuse. I'll tell you
exactly.
that. And not to mention, life happens on the weekends as well. So it's a very difficult game to play. All right, again, F1 took the week off. Obviously, during that off week, Max Verstappen still won races. I don't know how, I don't know where, but he was probably winning all of the races on his Xbox or PlayStation, whatever he drives.
He is an avid iRacer, so he even dips into some of the NASCAR stuff, I believe, over on iRacing. So maybe he was whipping up on people over there. Who knows?
I mean, at this point, it doesn't even matter anymore. But yes, Max Verstappen winning the last race. And look.
And the championship.
And the championship.
Yeah. Wrapped it up. So 3-time world champion now, Max Verstappen. who knows when he's going to slow down, right? Obviously, there's the seven's the big number out there, so we'll see. It's a lot of stuff can change very quickly in F1. We've seen it before. Obviously, we've mentioned many times how this run is absolutely incredible. You got to respect it while you're in it, but it's his crown for another season. But that doesn't mean that he's already got next year wrapped up by any means. Stuff changes quickly, and things can happen. So obviously, nothing left as far as the points race goes there to end out the season, but still plenty of storylines throughout the field, up and down as you go. Obviously, Perez still holding a pretty solid 30 points over Lewis. That's not out of the question for second place. And then Alonso right behind Hamilton there. The Ferrari guys a little ways back, but then like Lando is not very far behind the Ferrari guys, and he's ahead of George Russell as well. So a lot of moving and shaking as far as the standings go there. Over in the constructor, obviously Red Bull's got that fairly well wrapped up. Mercedes only 28 points ahead of Ferrari. That's not a ton. Little ways back to Aston Martin there, but then McLaren's right behind them trying to catch them. So plenty of storylines still to go throughout the season for the rest of the standings, obviously. I mean, really, the championship's been settled for a while now, right? It was just a matter of when was he going to officially wrap it up, but plenty of really good racing left this season and plenty of points that really matter in both the drivers and the constructors championships.
Can you feel more bad for Piastri? Like, you get your first victory and it's overshadowed. I mean, overshadowed by Verstappen winning the championship on a Saturday. Like, the dude drove his ass off, and next thing you know, they're like, oh, and by the way,
yeah, for our NASCAR guys, that's like, when somebody wins at Homestead, which we didn't really ever see that in the Cup Series, but even in the Truck Series, we saw it last year at Phoenix, right? I don't even remember who won that. Somebody else won that race at Phoenix. And you go straight over to, well, there's Zane Smith, finished fourth or whatever. Maybe he did win the race. I don't remember. But there's been plenty of times where you've got one guy winning, but the other guy's wrapping up the championship, and nobody really cares who won the race because it's all about the champion, as it should be. But yeah, still shout out to Piastri, obviously securing his first victory by winning the sprint there, which was good to see for him.
It was, and I mean, we kind of knew that Max was going to wrap it up on a Saturday. I mean, that was kind of a foregone conclusion.
It was a very tall task for him not to win it, really.
Yeah. I mean, look, and then a lot of stuff could have gone wrong. It would have been, not out of the realm of possibility for him to do it. But at this point, and this is the conversation that we'll probably have a lot over the offseason, because a lot of these teams are going to try their damnedest to close this gap. But my question is, not being a mechanic, not being a strategist, not being anybody who can understand the nitty gritty of it. Hell, I can barely change my own car battery. It's just, I don't know how they catch up. I don't know what they can do at this point to match Red Bull on a race day. I mean, it just seems like these guys, if they knew the answer, I'm sure they would do it, but I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. And you say that and you look at that, right? And it's like, what do you do? But you look back to just last season and Red Bull didn't have that much of an advantage. So they found it somewhere. It doesn't mean somebody else can't find it or find something even better. Again, it's the ebbs and flows of racing. You go to any series anywhere and you're going to get these dominant stretches from guys, from teams. We've seen it before in the Cup Series over in NASCAR. It ebbs and flows always. We did it in F1 throughout its entire history, right? You've had teams go up. You've had teams come down. You've had drivers go up. You've had drivers go down. Lewis is the most recent example, right? For years and years, it was all Lewis. And then now, it was Max and Lewis, and then Max surpassed him. And now we're into Max's phase. And, but yeah, I'm excited for next season. Obviously, we don't need to look too far ahead because we still got a few races left this season. But it's, that's what makes it fun is who can get a challenge. And we've seen just great leaps by so many teams this year. I mean, McLaren, look at the leap. First of all, they figured out the driver thing, right? You get Piastri in there and boom, that seems to be the perfect pairing with Lando there. They take a huge step. Ferrari and Mercedes kind of take a little bit of a step back, and Aston Martin steps up in there too. And instead of having the three like we had the last couple of seasons, now you've got Red Bull by themselves, and then it's four other teams that are really good, right? So you kind of got the big five with Red Bull leading the group. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It has. And speaking of which, there is a driver that is actually making his way back onto the track. Yay for Daniel Ricciardo.
Our guy Daniel Ricciardo is back. I'm sure he'll be wearing his big cowboy hat down in Texas this week. He's a big fan of Texas and all things cowboy looking and American. So great to see him back finally, obviously from the injury. Liam Lawson, again, shout out to him. Did such a great job filling in for him. I'm a little sad he doesn't have a ride for next year in F1 because I think that he could be a potential future star on our hands there, like we've got in Piastri, I think. But be great to see Daniel Ricciardo back, and obviously going to stick with that team for next year. He'll be back with AlphaTauri again, and so that's another one towards the bottom of the grid where looking forward to next season. Okay, you've solidified your driver lineup a little bit. You've got a rather large step up in from De Vries into Ricciardo here, talent wise and experience wise, and so that's a team that I think can take another step towards the bottom of the grid and move up a little bit. So, yeah, great news to see Daniel Ricciardo back.
Yeah, they need it. That guy's smile is everything at this point. So, definitely love to see that. And again, I'm anxious to see just how well this team rebounds because you're right. It's been kind of frustrating for them, and they definitely want to catch up more than anybody. So we'll see how that goes for them. All right, Cody, let's talk more about this race on the other side of our break. But we have to tell you first about our folks at the SGPN. They are giving you a second chance survivor opportunity. If you're already knocked out of your NFL survivor pool, don't worry. We got you covered with the SGPN second chance survivor presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. There's $3,000 up for grabs. And the best part about it, winner takes all. So starts this weekend. Sign up now. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. We're also brought to you here by our NFL Gambling Podcast, guys. They're doing a review contest. Leave an Apple Podcast review with your favorite touchdown-related bet for this weekend. Biggest winner gets a $50 SGPN gift card. Make sure to include your YouTube username in the review so we can contact you with the winning picks and with your winner and all that other good stuff. So make sure you leave a review. NFL Gambling Podcast, guys, are doing a bang-up job over there. Make sure you get in on this as well. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside of your favorite football team and, of course, drive alongside of your favorite drivers all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick them Scorchers. Enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players are going to win $10,000 each. Remember, folks, it's not just football. You can actually add NASCAR. You can actually add F1 into your lineups as well, into your picks sheets as well. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you can get creative, get all kinds of crazy stuff, and Scorchers is going to make it that much better for you to participate. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN.
Speaking of teams that are taking big steps, there is one more big news story I wanted to get into real quick.
Yes.
Alpine, they had brought on Ryan Reynolds and some other big actors and stuff, brought all this money earlier on to the team. Now, Rod, October 17th, a group led by Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, he's already spending that Taylor Swift money. Look at him go. Anthony Joshua, Rory McIlroy. They're among a host of sports stars that join the Alpine investor group. So Alpine's getting some money, right? And we've seen, like obviously we've already got the Netflix show, but you get Ryan Reynolds going into Wrexham, right? And bringing all of the pub with that and all the good things. And you're getting this influx of cash. And Patrick Mahomes just signed a $500 million deal, right? He's got some money, and Kelsey's, in there with Taylor Swift. She's got a little bit of money as well, I've heard. So, but bringing in an influx of money, and what does it take to catch a team like Red Bull? I'm not saying Alpine's going to be that team, but that's a big help in what can push them further down the road and help continue to raise them up the ladder and climb out from being one of those bottom tier teams.
So it's funny too because it's Ryan Reynolds and Roy, both of them heavy involved in Wrexham. So they want to continue to spend that money. They must have figured out that it wasn't that bad to own a sporting franchise. So I guess buying into an F1 team was a little bit better. So Ryan was already there, and he probably had a phone call with Roy. Those phone calls are crazy too, by the way. It's so funny to listen to those guys go at it. But as far as Patrick and Travis, when you got $500 million burning a hole in your pocket, I guess what do? You chase after another sporting franchise. So
Why
hey,
not, right?
if Michael Jordan can do it, so can Patrick
and we've
Mahomes.
seen it go the other way, right? Lewis is part of the ownership group of the Broncos now, so it's a smaller part, but hey, he's going over into the NFL now. I got the NFL guys crossing over into F1. Love to see it. Obviously, it'll help continue the sport, and you get a Travis Kelce and a Patrick Mahomes. Well, dang, I was going to say maybe at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but maybe not since they'll probably be playing football. But it does help just those guys being involved, and obviously Kelsey's got a big platform at the moment with a lot more eyeballs than he had before. But he already his huge podcast and stuff. He's talking about F1, gets more people into it. More people into the sport is a good thing for the sport in general. Obviously, it's growth here in America as it continues to grow. Obviously, worldwide, it's already massive, but will help, I think, just continue to help it take a step forward here, which leads to more people gambling on it, which helps us, which helps the whole community, and all great news, I think, for that.
Taylor Swift's next hit song will be about going fast around the racetrack. I can see the pitch.
She couldn't get into F1 with Alonso. Remember, there was the rumor that her and Alonso were hanging out.
Oh yeah. Ooh,
so she found a different way to get into F1.
Travis is like, listen, Taylor. Like, I know we're not necessarily all that serious yet, but I've got a great investment opportunity for you. Would like.
When you're like, you want to borrow like $20, like, hey, do you mind? I don't get paid till Friday. Could you spot us for dinner tonight? And he's just like, hey, I got this really good idea. If you just, toss a little loan over here, we'll buy into this F1 team.
I promise we'll make it up to you, babe. I promise. It's fine. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, listen, that's anything like that. Obviously we know is good for the sport. And, we talked about it even at the last season when we started doing this show in particular, and how there weren't already a lot of shows covering gambling with it, because obviously it was still relatively new to us in the States. And let's face it, I mean, most of what happens in the gambling world gets kind of driven by the United States. And even if overseas wasn't covering the gambling aspect of it yet, now with the influx of the American fans, and listen, I get it. I'm a Canadian football fan. I know that most of us Canadian football fans, and most Canadian football fans, don't necessarily care about, they want American eyeballs, but they're also at the same time like, well, we don't really want American eyeballs because it's our sport, right? It's the same thing with all these other worldwide sports, but they also recognize that with American eyeballs comes larger viewerships, comes larger broadcast contracts, comes more money. So I know that we're arrogant. I know that American are usually arrogant when it comes to that kind of situation, but you can't argue with the numbers in that situation.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's all positive for the sport. And again, especially in smaller sports like our motorsports are with NASCAR or with F1, it's any growth is good growth. It's positive, and the more eyeballs, the more people interested, the better.
Indeed. Speaking of eyeballs, all of them will be on the Circuit of Americas in Austin, Texas this weekend for this F1 race on a track that looks like a shoe. We already said it before. We've talked about it in length. This is definitely a shoe, a very crazy performance shoe, but a shoe nonetheless.
Yeah. It's kind of got a little heel on it and everything.
Yeah.
Definitely a shoe.
It's definitely a shoe. It is, of course, 5.513 kilometers, which is just over 3.4 miles. The entire race is 308.405 kilometers, which comes out to 191 miles around. The lap record on this one is owned by Charles Leclerc in 2019, a 136.169, 56 laps around this track. The first Grand Prix that was held by F1 on this track was in 2012. So they've been coming here for the better part of 11 years. Math sucks. But yes, again, we know this for the NASCAR races that are run on it, but this definitely does lend itself to a great F1 race. Listen, I'm telling you right now, there are 2 DRS zones in this one between turns 10 and 11 and between turns 18 and 19, but this is a very technical track. There are a lot of there's a hairpin turn, two hairpin turns really, two not really all that hairpin, but very damn close to it. 19 and 20 are hairpins, and then this wavy section between turns 2 and 10 where you have, I said that 2 and 10, right? That's 8 turns. There's a 2, a 4, a 5, a 6. It's
Yeah, I'm not much of I'm horrible at road courses as far as iRacing goes, but COTA is one of the tracks I've done a few times just because NASCAR goes there, and so and it is so technical and so twisty turny. Oh man, it is there's a lot of opportunity, and we've seen it in a few of the recent races here where you get a fair share of unclassified drivers, right? Because there's been a fair share of incidents lately at this particular circuit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that too, when the elevation changes on this one as well, right? I mean, you're going uphill into turn 1, right? I mean, you're going uphill into turn 1 and you got to slam on the brakes immediately to get into there. It's
Yep. Yeah, that's another crazy aspect to this is there's very big elevation changes on the track.
Yeah. So you definitely want to keep an eye on that as well. All right. So we've covered all of the events that are leading up to this. We covered the race itself. I think basically all we have left to do is actually get into the race itself, correct? And give our bets as we always do.
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. But first, let's tell you about Gametime. You hate buying tickets? So do I. It's all right. Tickets suck. Buying it on any sort of app makes you anxious, makes you pissed off, especially because you're digging through trying to find the best price. And sometimes you can't get it because guess what? You didn't know you were going to be able to go to that concert, that sporting event, that comedy show, or whatever it is you're trying to go to until the very last minute, sometimes the day before, sometimes even the day of. But Gametime has taken away all of the stress and anxiety around that. They're going to give you not only the greatest prices, but they're going to give you the greatest deals on those last minute tickets. And they've given you the Gametime guarantee, right? They got your back. When you buy it on Gametime, your tickets are going to get there on time. They're going to be authentic. It's guaranteed for you. Plus, they've got lower fees, better prices. They're committed to the clear competitive pricing. If you actually find a better price on any seat, on any other app or anywhere else, they're going to make up that difference, 110% of the difference for you to do it. Cannot believe that. They're going to give you the price of it and then some just because they know that it's hard to beat their prices. Plus, it's made for mobile, right? Last minute plans. You can make sure that you don't have to worry about planning months in advance because maybe you don't know if you can do it. So you're going to be able to get all those last minute prices. Plus, all of your tickets are going straight to your phone. You're not fishing through emails. You're not waiting in the mail. Doesn't matter. You're getting them on your phone. So snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea in a Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all player hit by hit rates for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Well, Cody, it is time to break down the bets. Max Verstappen wins. Everybody go home, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, he's only minus 400. That seems like a short week for him this week.
It's a steal.
But again, you don't bet that. That's why we give you these bets, because there's still ways to bet it, even if Max destroys the field, as he likely will. So first up for me, very, very big on the Lewis Hamilton train this week. I'm going to take him to finish on the podium, plus 260 over at Caesars. There's been 10 races here. And he has won 5 of the 10 races here, obviously. things haven't quite been the same lately as they were for him for a while during that time frame, right? But been really good on the circuit. You go back to last year, finished second place here. You go back to 2021, finished second place here. No race in 2020 here because of COVID, right? But 2019, I don't know if you're noticing the trend or not, finished second place here. 2018, he won here. Again, you can keep going farther back and it doesn't get much worse than that. But he's been very, very good on this circuit specifically. Last race rather, finished 19th place, of course, but he started third place going into turn one, the contact with George, end of his day, very, very early. Didn't really get a chance to see what he had. Other than that, he only has one finish worse than sixth place this entire season, finished eighth at Austria, inside of the top six every other race this season. So you're telling me a majority of the time throughout this entire season, he has been up inside the top six. I think he can sit on the podium at a track that he's finished first or second place at for 4 or 5, whatever it is, straight years. It's been a long run for him. Lewis Hamilton, very, very big on him this weekend. I think he continues to go. And again, he's had that consistent season where he's just always up there, always in the mix. I think he puts it back on the podium at a circuit that does come down to being very technical. Of course, speed is going to play a factor, right? And we know how good Max is, but you look at the rest of the field, and while there's a lot of talent and stuff there, nobody's as experienced as Lewis is. Nobody's as good as Lewis is in an overall sense of the history. Nobody knows the circuit like Lewis does. So I think that finds his way to the podium at plus 260.
And there's something to be said, and I'll agree with you later on too, in a much more involved way. But there is something to be said about a consistent finish like that. I mean, I know a lot of times we say, sometimes track history is not always the best because it doesn't always is not indicative of the season that they're having. But sometimes, especially with drivers like Lewis, doesn't matter the kind of season you're having, right? You could be having a great season, you could be having a bad season, but if you're consistent on that track throughout all of it, sometimes that is exactly what it is. I mean, I know we like to dig in a little deeper to try to figure out if this is right or not, but sometimes a track is just a track that you're good at. And I think
if you're one of our NASCAR fans and you're not that, don't know F1 as well, like a really solid comparison is Kevin Harvick over in the Cup Series, right? Sure, he's been good at every track. He's got wins at almost all of them, but you go to certain tracks like Homestead this weekend, like we talked about on the show over there, he's really, really fucking good at Homestead, more so than everywhere else. Yeah, Lewis has got wins almost everywhere, and he's got good finishes everywhere, but certain tracks he's just consistently always better at. This is one of those tracks, and that's why I think that's where you can look at that and take it into account. Obviously, in general, we don't look as much at track history here as we would maybe in NASCAR, just because it's different here. It's once a year. But I think if you mix that with the current form of hasn't finished worse than sixth only twice this season, so he's been up in there and he's just been really good at this place. I think this is the time where you can use that track history to your advantage.
Indeed. And really, if you look at back at the last couple of races, as far as what the finishing, like the winning margin, none of us took a winning margin bet this time, but it's only been within about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not like they can jump out. And I know Max can do it. Like he can jump out to a 30-second lead, but he hasn't in the last few races.
Well, I think that's why neither of us are probably on it, because it almost seems trappy, because it's been really close every race, but then you look at the season and you're like, but it probably won't be close, right? But maybe it will.
It's definitely a tough one for me to handle too. So I'm with you on that. All right, I'm going to put somebody else up on the podium with Lewis and more than likely Max, and that's Charles Leclerc. I'm only doing this because the number's at 4-1. I find it very intriguing for Leclerc at 4-1. He was on the podium last year in this race, and he actually started 12th in that race. So there was some movement there. I mean, it wasn't as if he started third and finished third, or started fourth and finished third. I mean, he drove his way up through the field, right? And in F1, from 12th to third is driving your way up through the field. I know in NASCAR it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but in F1, that's driving your way up through the field. But he did have a third place finish here last year, and then 2 fourth place finishes where he started fourth and finished fourth in both of the races before that. The first race, he started 9th and finished 17th in his career, but he was damaged on that one. And for Charles Leclerc, the fact that he's 4-1 for a podium is is kind of obscene in a way that I know we don't see a whole lot of movement in F1 between starting and finishing, which is, I mean, like Charles Leclerc's absolute 100% story this season. Started fifth, finished fifth last week at Lusail. In Suzuka, started fourth, finished fourth. And then Marina Bay started third, finished fourth. In Monza, started third, finished fourth. But listen, again, he's right around that podium step, right? I mean, he's flirting with the podium step. He started on the podium in 2 of those races and very well should have held on to it. But of course, we know that I think his teammate played into one of those, and just a bad pit stop, bad pit strategy played into another one. And it wasn't as if he went from third to 13th, right? He went from third to fourth. So I think a cleaner race, something he was able to do last season, get on the podium and really almost do the season before and the season before that. He's not a bad driver. It was him and Max fighting it out last season for the championship. Granted, it wasn't a very fair fight, but came down to those two, right? At one point. And I think he needs to rekindle that. And I think this is a good enough track for him to be able to do it. Obviously, we know he's a technical enough driver to get it done already. So he's not that far off the podium. I think 4-1 is a good price to try to put him back on there.
Yeah, I think the number is probably about right. We know what he's got in him. We know what Ferrari has in them, right? It's about the mistakes, but Ferrari's really cut back on those this season. It's not been as bad. And yeah, I think you laid out the perfect case for it. Talked me into it. So I like it at 4-1. Next up for me, I'm going to go over to Alonso. I'm going to take Fernando Alonso to finish in the top 6. This is at plus 110. I really like this. I'm going to put a little sprinkle as well on his podium finish, 7-1. I think that's obviously, as you look through our picks so far, a lot of good value out there on podiums, right? You kind of just, and I think the reasoning for that is on a week-to-week basis this season, or a race-to-race basis, there's not been these guys are for sure going to be on the podium. Like Max is going to take one of those spots, and you got that. And in previous years, it was kind of, what's going to be Max and Lewis. That's going to be 2 of your podium spots, most likely. Who's going to get that third? But those second and third podium spots are just very wide open to a variety of guys, right? You got both the Mercedes guys, got both the Ferrari guys, got both the McLaren guys are going to be in the conversation. Alonso is going to be in the conversation. Perez obviously is going to be in the conversation as well. And so I think that you find the couple of guys that you like and that you're finding an angle on going into the weekend. Because again, once qualifying is set, sure, you could bet the guys that qualify up there, but their odds shift. F1 odds shift so drastically. It's so crazy, but for a good reason, because once the lineup is set, you're usually not too far off of the finishing order, and that's why it does it. So that's why I think getting in early on the week on finding value, and I think that obviously we've kind of quartered the podium part of it. But I wanted to say that. But back to Alonso. Top 6, the one I really love. Going to sprinkle the podium at 7-1. The top 6 is plus 110. You go back in the last couple of weeks, Alonso has been in the top 6 2 races in a row. The last 2 races we've had, he's got 11 top 6 finishes in 17 races this season. Again, percentage-wise, like that's the thing, is we're at a point now where we've got a bulk of the season behind us, right? And we can look at the big picture and say, wow, he continues to be up here week in and week out, race in and race out. So I do love that. He was 7th place last year in this race in an Alpine car. Again, we just talked about them. They're getting this influx of money and stuff, but this Aston Martin car he's been in this season has been much better than the Alpine was the previous seasons with him. So 7th place there. His DNF rate here is high. I will say that. That is the one concerning thing, right? He's not finished quite a few races. So that is the kind of one disclaimer on him. But I think the speed we've seen from him this season, the results we've seen from him, and just, again, 11 of 17, he's been inside that top 6. And then, again, his chance to crack the podium, he's done that a few times this season as well. I think it's 7-1 is worth it. But Alonso top 6 plus 110 is the one that I really, really like this weekend.
That team needs it. He needs it. I mean, it really does suck for him because he did start off so hot and he was the talk of the town. He almost dated Taylor Swift, and
now he's coming back to America, revenge tour
with Travis Kelce. Like, no, he's not gonna be.
Yeah, Travis Kelce trying to. Oh, here you go. This is the perfect storylines. Travis Kelce in the news with F1. He's got Taylor Swift. He's buying a team. Alonso feeling left out. He needs to come prove himself in the United States. Oh, I love the angle, Rod.
I'm telling you right now, it cracks me up. The intrigue, the subterfuge. Oh, the rich people's problems in this world. This team needs it. And really, again, like you said, the number for the podium is right. I think it's the same as Leclerc. I mean, obviously Leclerc's been close to the podium. Alonso's been on the podium quite a bit. So you do take a stab at these podiums as well. All right. So this is going to be a little, I don't want to say convoluted because it's not convoluted because I'm going to tell you this and then I'm going to come back later and tell you something else. But just stay with me on this one. This one is on DraftKings. It is the winner without all of the major teams. Okay. So this is the winner without, and now we know that Aston Martin is in that mix as well. So it's the winner without Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin. We went on this trip a little while ago. Didn't pan out for us that time, but I think it's going to pan out for us on this time. Esteban Ocon is the favorite at plus 200, but I still like Esteban Ocon to be the winner without all of those teams, right? It's plus 200 for that. And like we said, anything at plus 200 is good. The only problem is that it's sort of been a mixed bag for Esteban on this track. He's not finished twice on this one. He's finished 6th place in this race in the Sahara Force One team. And then in the Manor Racing, he finished 18th, right? But last season, he did post a 10th place finish on this, which was actually close to being the best one with it. So, but this season, if you take a look at this season alone, last week in Qatar, he actually was the best finisher of that. He finished in 7th place behind Aston Martin, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull. The week before that, he was also the highest finisher without finishing in 9th place in Japan. So the last couple of weeks, he's actually been that top guy. In Marina Bay, right, in Singapore, was Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. That was the top driver without, finishing in 6th place over there. So that was another Alpine car that finished up there. Now, Albon sort of ruined it for us by finishing in 8th place in Italy, in Monza, right? So kind of screwed that for us as well. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But in the week before that, Albon did it again and screwed us there. So, but it was actually Pierre Gasly who finished 3rd on the podium in the Dutch Grand Prix. Alpine has been that car. So if you want to maybe take the winner without manufacturer and Alpine, the only problem is that it's minus 140. It's a little rich. So I figured
the minus 140, that goes into helping your case, right? So that makes it seem like it's much more. He just has to beat Gasly and then you're going to hit this.
Yeah. Or you could treat this like a first touchdown prop too in the NFL and go Ocon and Gasly, right? And then if you want, maybe throw a little on Albon because we saw Albon creep up into this too. So split up your units however you split them up and maybe put on those 3 because those 3 are the ones that I think have the best shot, and the books do too. Because you got Nico Hülkenberg at 8-1, and I don't think he'll be the best of the rest in this one.
Maybe not Nico Hülkenberg, but I'm going to take a bet on his teammate. Nice setup for me, Rod, there. I appreciate that. Kevin Magnussen finished in the points. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but it is plus 750. Definitely going out on a limb with this one, but I do like K-Mag this week. So he's plus 750 on Caesars to finish in the points. Last season, did get a 9th place finish here. The results have been down again with him as well. 2016, he had an 11th place finish here. He's been flirting with the points finish a couple of times. The season as a whole has not been the greatest for Haas, right? It's been well documented that it's been a rough season for them. But coming back to America, it's an American team, right? Owned by Gene Haas, of course. And Magnussen has had some finishes. It's not all been pretty, of course. There's been a lot of 17ths, a lot of 18ths in here, but he's been inside the points twice this season, including 3 races ago at Singapore, or 4 races ago, rather, or 3 races ago. I don't know. I can't even tell. 3 races ago, 4 races ago it was. All the lines blur together. But even the last couple of races, 14th, 15th, 15th, he's not that far out of the points in a lot of those. And like I said, he's got the 2 points finishes this season. He's got multiple 13th place finishes, a 14th place as well. So did it here last year. So he's only one season removed from getting it done here. I think that as far as a long shot guy to finish in the points, we just talked a few minutes ago about the tricky turns and a little bit of a higher DNF rate here than some of the other tracks we've been to lately. You get one or two guys up near the front that wreck out of this, and maybe he is only a 12th place car, but moves up into 10th and into that points finish because the guys in front of him, take themselves out or whatever the case may be. I think Magnussen can get it done. I think at plus 750, the price is right. So give me Kevin Magnussen to finish in the points, plus 750 over on Caesars.
Yeah, and for Kevin Magnussen too, that Haas team, man. I know that they love to kind of goof on Gunther, but like it's got to be frustrating for them. They know that they're a decent enough team. They know they're not Red Bull. They know they're not Ferrari, but by the same token, it's like they expect better out of it. And so for Magnussen, he's shown so many good flashes of I can hang with the leaders. And by leaders, I mean top 10. But
yeah, and we've seen him. I mean, there's been points where he's had fast cars and he almost cashed us the fastest lap earlier this season. Like he's definitely had his flashes for sure. Obviously, they're a little behind on things, but I think this is a week where they could get that points finish done.
I concur. All right. My next bet, I'm going back to the well. This number is dropped low enough to where I think it's time to jump back on it. This is the Red Bull fastest pit stop, minus 110 on DK. They've dropped it because the last time Red Bulls had a fast pit stop, or the fastest pit stop, was in Singapore. Unbelievable and unthinkable to know that is the case. And in fact, their McLaren is catching up to them quite nicely, by the way. So I'm a little bit. I wanted to almost take McLaren on this one. And in fact, if you want to, go ahead. McLaren's at plus 250. They've actually been really catching up. Lando and Piastri, those pit stops have been really clutch for those guys. But I still think this is Red Bulls. They had the fastest pit stop here the last time they came here, 2.13. In 2019, Max Verstappen had a 2.06 fastest pit stop at this track. I mean, again, this is one of those tracks where the weather's going to be great, right? There's no, it's all Texas weather. So there's just going to be a nice little sunny day for everybody. It'll be comfortable. And I think that those circumstances, there won't be any crazy wonky, anything, right? And in perfect situations, Red Bull does well on their pit stops. So I think this is probably going to be another Perez, 2.4 day, 2.3 day. So I think 110 minus 110 is actually a good price to get back on this because again, they haven't done it in a while. So the books are adjusting and this is the time to pounce.
They're due.
They are due. They better be due. Damn it. I'm ready for them to have another fast pit stop. I don't know what it is lately. They haven't been able to put together a good one. And it's really because Sergio Perez has been struggling and Max has been out so far that, they don't need to have a fast pit stop with him.
Yeah. I think this would be a good week for them to get it done. I think I like the analysis and again, they're the best team obviously on the paddock. We all know that. So I think they can get it done.
I do too. All right. All that's left now is to tell you who's going to ultimately get it done. It's Max Verstappen. But if not, we found some other angles for you.
Or wait, is it?
Or wait, there's more. But Cody, what's our final? Not to say race winner, but
no, I got a winner in here.
You do.
Pushing all the chips in on Lewis Hamilton. This is his week. 14-1 for the fastest lap. Again, these are the long shots you want to attack. This has been more profitable, which is to say profitable at all, than picking the race winners because well, you get it. Max Verstappen wins every race, right? I talked about Lewis already. He's won 5 of the 10 races here. He's been fast. Second, a win. Those are his last 4 trips to this circuit. He's going to be good. He's going to be fast. You noted earlier, the winning margin hasn't been super big. That might not give Max that chance at the end to go out there and recapture the purple clock and get the fastest lap. Nor does he really care at this point other than just to show people he can because the points are wrapped up, right? It's done. It's over. He's the champion. But for Lewis and team, it's going to mean a lot to still get that extra point. Like I said, he's still battling in the point standings there for the driver's side. The constructor side, Mercedes still has some positions to gain or lose. So they want to keep that. So give me Lewis Hamilton, 14-1. And then just in case, Rod, Don't sprinkle winners on here very often. Feeling Lewis big time this weekend. He's coming to the United States. A lot of Lewis fans here. A lot of people would like to see it. Likely going to be a Max runaway, right? We get it. He's minus 400 for a reason. Obviously, if Max wins the race, big fucking surprise, right? But things can happen. That's why you run the races. We saw it last week in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race that we talked about, right? Heavy favorite. John Nemechek was probably going to dominate the race, probably going to do this, probably going to do that. Mechanical problems put him behind. This happened, that happened. He doesn't end up winning the race. So 40-1 wins the race instead. This is not definitely super comparable because it's a little different in F1, but they run the race for a reason. Things can happen. If something goes wrong, if Max has troubles, if Max has an issue, Lewis is going to be there to pounce. 25-1. It's worth a little shekel for sure.
And it's one that I definitely looked at as well. So I got to the doc and you had it. So I was like, outstanding. At least I'm not completely crazy for thinking it as well. So I'll back you on this one. And then we'll play this another way because, again, you had gotten there already. So I couldn't put the outright. So we'll play this another way. And we'll say also the winner without the favorite, which this means the favorite driver, not all of the teams. So this is just focused on an individual driver. So this is the winner without the favorite driver, which is obviously is Max Verstappen.
Yeah, who's the favorite, Rod?
I don't know, some guy named Max, Mighty Max or something. But so you can get this one at 5-1. So if you are trying to hedge a little bit off of your outright on Lewis, you can also sort of take this one as well. So if Max does end up winning this, leading lap to lap and winning this race, and Lewis comes in second, not only are you going to get the podium finish on him, but you're also going to get this 5-1 on him. And should he turn the fastest lap in the process, you'll get the 14-1 in on him. So I know we're a little heavy on Lewis, but really, if you look at the numbers, it sort of leads you in this direction because it is one of these tracks that he's been really good at. And sort of just a couple of bad luck situations going on the last couple of weeks. He should have been in the hunt for a podium in the races that we've had these last few weeks. So really good shot last week, man. I really thought we had Lewis Hamilton back up on the podium last week, but yeah, unfortunately could not make that stick. But again, I think this is a great way, Lewis without the favorite, the winner without the favorite at plus 500 to get in on this one. So this one's on Caesars. You can get this plus 500 on Caesars, winner without.
Yeah, and actually potentially a better way to play this same bet. If you've got Bet365, they've got a top two finish for Lewis at 8-1. That actually opens up finishing second to someone else if Max gets eliminated from the race and Checo wins, or when the Ferrari guys win and he finishes second, you're still opening it up at 8-1. So might be a way to consider playing that differently, where you're getting, it's the same bet essentially, but opening yourself to better opportunities. So I'd happen to notice that one, and it's the same. Again, same thought, just a different way to play with a little more of a safety net built in at a better number even too. So
yeah, that is actually pretty good. I didn't see that one. Thank goodness for Bet365 for throwing that out. So yeah, I like that. Good one. See, look at this is why we're always stepping it up. We're always
work makes the dream work.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, then let's get out your pen and paper. Let's go over the bets for this United States Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Cody started you out with Lewis Hamilton on the podium at plus 260 over on Caesars. I gave you Charles Leclerc on the podium at 4-1. And then Cody gave you Alonso as a top six finisher at plus 110 and podium at 7-1. I said that the winner without all the rest of the teams would be Ocon at plus 200. Cody gave you Kevin Magnussen inside the points at plus 750. I gave you a Red Bull fastest pit stop again, making its return to the show at minus 110 over on DraftKings. Cody gave you Lewis Hamilton to turn the fastest lap at 14-1 and to win the race at 25-1 on Bet365. So I gave you the winner without the favorite, Lewis Hamilton at plus 500, which is a good way to go. Cody actually tacked on almost a better way to go, and that is a second place finish for Lewis Hamilton at 8-1. So you might want to get in on that or put them on both, whatever you want. Because if Lewis Hamilton finishes second, then you're still going to end up winning all of these bets, except for the outright, obviously. But I think you're covered if Lewis Hamilton has a fantastic race. Fingers crossed, Lewis Hamilton has a fantastic race.
all chips in on Lewis, right? It's he's probably going to make or break our week, but I feel pretty comfortable in that. Again, he has been just absolutely fantastic at the circuit, and Ben's very solid this year as well. It's obviously overshadowed by the year Max has had, but it's amazing to think how many chances he would have at more wins if Max wasn't out there and doing what he's doing, right? So don't let that be overlooked. I feel confident about this. Glad to see him over here on U.S. soil. And again, start of a 3-week stretch. So we'll be back the next couple of weeks in a row. Should be nice. We'll have races to continue to break down, continue to bet on. I'm a big fan of that.
Indeed. All right. Well, as we wrap up this Lewis Hamilton Gambling Podcast, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Yep. Follow me on X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can follow the show as well at F1 Gambling, at F1 Gambling Pod would be the way to follow on X. And then check it out on YouTube as well. Still over under the NASCAR Gambling Podcast banner, but if you want to watch on YouTube, if you prefer to consume that way, is available there as well. So just type in NASCAR Gambling Podcast and you'll find these videos there.
Indeed. Do us a favor too. Rate, review, subscribe, do all the fun stuff on your podcast apps, whether that's Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It goes a long way in proving to the bosses that you like the show, that you listen to the show. And I don't like to pander very much for your affection and your approval, but I will say that the bosses love it. So do that for them. We'll just continue to make the content and do what we do every single day for you. So, all right. Follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, In Between Media, or, of course, for frequency's sake. Find it all right there in the bio. We'll be back next week for more of the F1 Gambling Podcast. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.